What's up, everybody? It's Jordan, and welcome to the Sports to Hines Show. Today is Mock Draft Monday, and each Monday I do a NFL mock draft. And today's Mock Draft Monday, I have a special guest, Sean Tedford of the Champ podcast. How you doing today, Sean?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited to have you on the show. You know, you're actually a Washington fan, and there's been lots of moves recently, and with them making those moves, that's going to have a huge, difference with their draft outcome as it was opposed to 2 weeks ago.
Right.
So you kind of for some of those moves that Washington were able to do.
Yeah, I'm actually for it. Like the Ryan Fitzpatrick signing, I knew that's good. I love that signing. Curtis Samuel to pair alongside Terry McLaurin, that's a no-brainer. And William Jackson, since we got rid of Ronald Darby, who went to, I believe, I want to say the Broncos or somebody.
I not remember the top of my head where Darby went, but
he's not in Washington anymore. But picking up William Jackson, that's a really good signing. And if I'm not mistaken, somebody keeps telling me that William Jackson, the only time that Terry McLaurin was covered was William Jackson. So.
Yeah, Washington. Signing Ryan Fitzpatrick, that was something not many really people expected. So it could have a different outcome on who they draft in the draft. So we will do our mock draft. In this mock draft, he will pick the even teams. I'm gonna pick the odd teams. So we will do this mock draft from Pro Football Focus. Let's see here. So who's some of your favorite prospects in the draft this year?
In the draft this year, I like Penei Sewell, the offensive line from Oregon. He's really good. I mean, he's a pass blocker. He can also run block. Whoever picks him up is going to be a really good team to protect the quarterback.
Yeah, being a Bengal fan, there's lots of talks if Penei Sewell would drop at 5 or not. Personally, I'd be happy if he would, but I know lots of people like Jamar Chase also. He was a college with Joe Burrow. But somebody I absolutely love is Kyle Pitts. I mean, he does not seem like just a normal player. He's like a Travis Kelce or George Kittle as a tight end, but he's basically, you can line him up at wide receiver. I think he's going to be very successful in the NFL wherever he goes to.
Yeah, he's a very versatile player.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Pitts is one of my favorite players in the draft. And speaking of favorites, I know this is very, very, very unpopular. Favorites, I've already done my rankings of the top quarterback in the draft. And Zac Wilson, I actually have him number 1 as my quarterback number 1. He's one of the best quarterbacks I think I've ever seen in the draft. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes, and his off the script type of plays. I mean, his deep ball is absolutely phenomenal. And I really, really like Zac Wilson. I said he was my quarterback number 1, but I'm picking here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I am going to take Trevor Lawrence, being more realistic. I don't think there's any possible way that Trevor Lawrence is not the pick of number 1. I will take Trevor Lawrence here, but I really, really, really like Zac Wilson quite a bit.
Yeah.
So I take Trevor Lawrence at number 1, and you are selecting number 2 for the New York Jets. Who are you going to?
I predict offensive line for number 2 for the Jets.
Are you going to take Penei Sewell at number 2?
Yes.
That's a very, very interesting pick, because if that happens, that means it's almost a guarantee that Zac Wilson or Justin Fields would drop out of the drop at least to 5. And that could be really interesting for the Bengals, because maybe a team like the 49ers or I know the Lions recently they recently traded for Jared Goff, but maybe a team who wants a quarterback in the future could trade up with the Bengals, because some people may say the Eagles want a quarterback. I personally don't think that's the case, but I'm not really sold on Jalen Hurts. But that'd be really, really interesting if Penei Sewell goes to the Jets. And, it could happen, with Sam Darnold not being traded yet. Lots of people thought he'd be already traded. So number 3 here with the Miami Dolphins, they could use a wide receiver. And the majority of my first mock drafts, I had the Miami Dolphins taking Devontae Smith. He was a college teammate with Tua. He played in Miami his last college game. He was actually coached by the Dolphins in the Senior Bowl. Makes a lot of sense. Realistically, though, the more as we lead up to the draft, I don't know if that will happen. I actually had them taking Jamar Chase, wide receiver from LSU. Chase, to me, is probably the best receiver in the draft. I like him more than Devontae Smith, but Devontae Smith, I would not be shocked if that was the pick at all. Also, I think something that needs some consideration and needs a little bit more talk is Kyle Pitts at 3. And I know that sounds crazy, but we were talking. Kyle Pitts is definitely one of my favorite prospects. I don't think he's a normal player at all. He's going to be a great player in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins tight end, Mike Gesicki, only has 1 year on his contract left. So, I know Gesicki is good, but I would much rather have Pitts on a short deal than Gesicki. But I do have them taking Jamar Chase there. Pitts there at number 3 is very unlikely. That's kind of a crazy scenario. But it'll be really, really interesting. This top three is really already interesting so far with Trevor Lawrence, Penei Sewell, and Jamar Chase. So as we go to number 4 here with the Atlanta Falcons, who are you going to take here?
I actually predict a cornerback, Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech. Because Atlanta needs a lot of help in the secondary, and Caleb Farley can play a good corner. And I think he can also play safety, too, if he needs to.
So we take Caleb Farley there at number 4. This is really, really interesting. We're not going to do trades on here because we could have some crazy trades, but if we would, I'm a huge Bengal fan. I make some separate Bengals videos too. And I've said multiple times, Penei Sewell being at 5 is not best case scenario for the Bengals. And my honest opinion, and I truly believe, if Zac Wilson is there at number 5 for the Bengals, that is 100% best case scenario because I really think his team will, make some insane offer for, Zac Wilson because I think lots of teams view him more highly than some of the media does. So I said we're not going to do trades here. So this is really, really, really interesting because it's very difficult to pick here for the Bengals. They did sign Riley Reef, the offensive tackle from the Vikings, but I am probably going to take Kyle Pitts here. If we did trades, I'd probably trade back and maybe get an offensive lineman. But trades, it'd just be too difficult. I'm going to take Pitts, number 5, and I really, really like that. You have Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Kyle Pitts, Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow. Mm-hmm. There's a young, dangerous offense. So we go to number 6 here. You are picking the Philadelphia Eagles.
I am the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Jalen Waddle, wide receiver from Alabama.
I really, really like that pick there.
Because Eagles need a lot of help in receiver. Because they lost Deshaun Jackson, they lost Alshon Jeffrey. I don't know about Zach Ertz's situation with the tight ends, but at least Hurts got some help with receiving.
Yeah, Zach Ertz, I think he's definitely going to be traded. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he was traded to the Colts to reunite with Carson Wentz. And, Waddle would be a great pick there. He could be their Deshaun Jackson replacement. I think Waddle could even be a dark horse for the Bengals at number 5. But, that's a really, really nice pick there because, I know he's going to be, I would say, 95% chance he's a top 10 pick. But somehow he is still extremely underrated. And it's really, really weird how underrated he is, despite he's going to be one of the top draft choices. The Lions here at 7. This is a no-brainer in my opinion. Zach Wilson. I love that pick. That is probably my favorite pick so far in this draft because Jared Goff's not great, but he has been in the Super Bowl. I think Zach Wilson can learn a lot from Jared Goff, and I already said Wilson's my favorite quarterback in the draft. I know it's a very unpopular opinion, but I think if Detroit takes Zac Wilson. I mean that's really really going to help them with their future. And if he's not there, maybe expect a guy like Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle. He's in Marvin Jones and Kenny Galladay. Both of those guys are out in Detroit, and they really don't have a really good receiver now. But Zach Wilson there, really, really, really like it. So you're picking 8 for the Carolina Panthers. Who are you selecting for Carolina?
For Carolina, I predicted. Well, for Carolina, I was predicting Justin Fields. So we're doing Justin Fields, quarterback, since Bridgewater's not the answer. So the next available is Justin Fields, in my opinion. So
Yeah, I like that pick there. And I know Fields here to 8, maybe a little bit of a drop, but I could potentially see it. I mean, I like Fields, but I don't think he's a top 3 quarterback in this draft. I know Charlie Casserly from NFL Network had him dropping to 24 to the Steelers. That's just crazy, in my opinion. I don't see a scenario where Justin Fields drops out of the top 10. But I think he could be really, really good given the right fit where he goes to.
mm-hmm.
This pick's really interesting because, the Denver Broncos recently signed Fuller, but they also, they lost Chris Harris last offseason. They recently cut AJ Boye, and every single video I've done, I've had them drafting a corner, and they, like I said, they just signed Fuller, but I believe it was to a 1-year deal. I want to take Surtain from Alabama, but last this past season, I really liked Drew Lock. I thought he was going to be really good, and he wasn't. I could maybe see a scenario where they take Trey Lance, but for the safe side and more realistic, I'm going to take Patrick Surtain, the corner from Alabama. So number 10, the Dallas Cowboys. Who are you selecting for Dallas?
For Dallas, well, my original plan was Kyle Pitts, but it's already been taken. So I predicted Christian Darrisaw, offensive line for Virginia Tech.
Yeah, I think that's a nice pick there. Some people like Rashawn Slater more than Penei Sewell, but some people also like Christian Darrisaw more than Rashawn Slater. And some of the Cowboys offensive linemen, they've been injury prone the past couple of seasons, getting up there in age. I wouldn't be surprised, if Dallas would end up taking a offensive tackle, number 11. This is I know the Giants, signed John Ross, but it's to a 1-year deal, and they signed Kenny Galladay. Evan Ingram only has 1 year in his deal. I'm gonna take Devontae Smith. I know they have a decent amount of good receivers, but I mean you can never have too many good wide receivers. So I have them taking Devontae Smith. The Giants, they're 11. So San Francisco 49ers 12. Who are you thinking for San Francisco?
Trey Lance, quarterback, because Jimmy Garoppolo might be heading out of the 49ers after this season, so might as well just bring in a backup, because I don't think what's his name?
The quarterback.
Yeah, the other quarterback. He was like a who went for, who
Oh,
was drafted by.
It's Garoppolo.
Rosen, Josh Rosen is not.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's going to be the answer. So.
I actually like Josh Rosen. I know I may sound unpopular. I don't think he's a bust. And I know I sound crazy, but given the circumstances that he was in, I don't think he played terrible. But I also don't believe that he's the answer for the San Francisco 49ers. I know the Chargers, they signed some offensive linemen, but you can never have too many good offensive linemen, especially for a young quarterback like Justin Herbert. So I want to have them take Rashawn Slater there at 13. I think that's one of the best players available, and that's also a team need. Anytime you have a situation like that, I mean, that's always pretty good. So the Minnesota Vikings at 14. Who are you taking for Minnesota?
I predicted, Quiddy Pay.
Yeah, that's a really good pick there. Kwity Paye, one of the best edge rushers, in the draft. And Minnesota's defensive line this past season was not really at all. That was a main issue of their defense, and it's a really nice pick there. So 15 with the New England Patriots. This is really tough. I mean, before the draft, I would have said draft wide receiver, maybe even Kyle Pitts if he somehow dropped. But with the Patriots and all the moves they've made, let's see here. I mean, this is kind of. I don't think they could screw this up, but I mean, the Patriots don't really screw up picks often. But you just don't really know who they're going to take. The second big difference, I'm going to take Micah Parsons, the linebacker out of Penn State. Honestly, I'm not sure that'll happen because, Bill Belichick seems like he's a guy, he don't put up with crap. He doesn't put up with anybody's stuff. And, if you have off the field issues, you're not going to make the team. Micah Parsons is a really talented player, but if you look at some of the stuff, he's been accused of. In my opinion, he should not be drafted. And I just don't understand how several years ago, Jeffrey Simmons and Joe Mixon, when there was surveillance video of them, laying their hands on a woman, and Micah Parsons is accused of really, really bad stuff, and it's just basically swept under the rug and not talked about at all. But I have Parsons there at 15 to New England. So next up is the Arizona Cardinals at 16. Who are you taking there for Arizona?
Travis Etienne, running back from Clemson, because they need some help in the running back area since they lost David Johnson with the DeAndre Hopkins trade. So might as well just get Etienne from Clemson.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty nice pickup there for Arizona. They also recently lost Kenyon Drake to, I believe, the Raiders. And, I mean, you have Kyler Murray and Hopkins. You have a nice defense. Give it a year or two. I really think Arizona are Super Bowl contenders, and I don't think it's that unrealistic to say that they could. I would say dark horse for the Super Bowl, even this season.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking, I mentioned Kenyon Drake to the Raiders. The Raiders are the next pick here. I want to have them take. I know it says needs edge and defensive line. I want to have them take Bateman, the wide receiver from Minnesota. They could use another good receiver. I was surprised they did not sign a top tier receiver in free agency. You have Henry Ruggs, who was a rookie last season, who did not really play as many people expected. But Bateman to me would be a nice pickup there. Give Carr a very nice target to throw to. So 18 is the Miami Dolphins. Who are you taking for Miami? The Dolphins did select Jamar Chase in the third overall.
Nick Bolton, the linebacker.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, that's a nice pickup there, and a surprising one, but it's really weird. I don't think this linebacker class is very, very talented compared to last year's.
Right.
You had so many good ones, and this year, I mean, you have Michael Parsons, but he has the off-the-field issues. You have Bolton. You have the guy Jeremiah Wasu-Corolla from Notre Dame. But I mean, it's just really. I don't even think. I know some say Parsons could at number one. I don't think there's that one linebacker, or even two for that matter, who really stands out. Like those guys are going to be really good in the NFL. But it seems like lots of linebackers. There's going to be some good ones, but there's not anybody who's like that on that top tier of linebackers in the draft. And we kind of talked about. The next pick here is Washington. You're a Washington fan. I'm picking odds, but you can go ahead and pick this one since you're a Washington fan. Who are you going to pick here for Washington?
Jeremiah, the JOK, the linebacker out of Notre Dame. I love that pickup, honestly, because we need some help with linebacking since we lost Kevin Pierre-Louis.
So we take Owasu Koroa, the linebacker from Notre Dame, at 19 to Washington. I think that's a really nice pickup there by Washington. I mean, their defense, with that pick, they're just getting even better and more young, which is just crazy. But nice pickup there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't be totally against, maybe a quarterback, but, they did sign who's a very, very nice quarterback. So, we kind of talked about at the beginning of the episode, with their free agency moves that kind of changes a little bit of their maybe ideas in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Number 20 with the Chicago Bears. This is really interesting. I keep going back to Rondale Moore and Matt Jones. They have Andy Dalton, who's average. They have Nick Foles, who's average. Realistically, Matt Jones is a game manager. He does everything fine. He's good, but he's not great. But I'm probably going to go ahead and take Matt Jones here because Andy Dalton's contract was just a 1-year deal. Jones can come in, learn from Nick Foles and Andy Dalton. So Nick Foles there to the Chicago Bears. So 21. Who do you have the Indianapolis Colts selected?
Terrace Marshall Jr., wide receiver from LSU. Because they need help with receivers since they lost T.Y. Hilton, and to pair alongside Pittman and make that a 1-2 punch, and it's going to be a great pickup for the Colts.
Yeah, I think that's a really, really nice pick. You look at it. It's a very nice pick. Give Carson Wentz even more weapons. You mentioned Pittman, and I would say there's still a small chance T.Y. Hilton could resign, but even if they would, T.Y. Hilton's not what he used to, and I could definitely see a scenario where the Colts would select wide receiver in the first round. And I think the Colts would be really, really good this season with Carson Wentz, and if you get Terrace Marshall, I think their offense will be even better. So number 22 to the Tennessee Titans, staying in the AFC South. They could guard or edge rusher. I want to take this. This is tough. There's so many good edge rushers in this class. I want to take Azeez Ojulari. I would say it's either between him or Kwity Paye, in my opinion, who's the best edge rusher. But I have them taken there. So 23 to
the Jets. Let's see.
Actually, you picked Washington odd, and that's why the order is out of order. I'll go ahead and pick the Jets here to make it back in order and everything.
Yeah.
I'm completely messed it up. But the Jets, I actually like Najee Harris, the running back from Alabama. They could use a good running back. If you pair him, you got Penei Sewell there. You have a nice young offense, or if you would maybe decide to get a quarterback, it's a really, really nice offense and a really, really nice draft for the New York Jets. Yeah. So 24 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Who do you have Pittsburgh taking?
Let's see. I predicted was it Christian
Barmore?
Barmore, yeah.
Yeah, that's a really nice pickup, and that was going to be my pick for Jacksonville. But Pittsburgh takes Barmore. He's the best defense tackle in the draft, and some of the players on Pittsburgh's defensive line are getting up there in age, not what they used to be. So I could definitely see that pick there, especially if they don't take a quarterback. If Matt Jones was there, I think it's a possibility to take Matt Jones, but since he's not, I think Barmore would be a really nice pick. So 25 is the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to take Trevon Moehrig, the safety from TCU. He's the best safety in the draft. He is the best PFF rating of all the safeties in the draft. If they need safety, I think that'd be a smart pick there. And safe pick by Jacksonville Jaguars. So 26 to the Cleveland Browns. Who do you have Cleveland taking?
Rondale Moore, wide receiver from Purdue.
I actually really, really like that pick. I'm not against the Browns taking Mercy. I personally believe they should trade Odell Beckham. In my opinion, I just don't really think there's. It seems weird. I mean, isn't it strange how the Browns are really having success and they win a playoff game and they have a big winning streaks when Odell Beckham gets hurt. And it's just, in my opinion, I don't really think it's a coincidence that happens. I think Beckham's really good, but maybe a change in scenery would be best for him and maybe Cleveland. Rondell Moore, Terrence Marshall, any of those receivers for the Cleveland at 26, I could definitely see happening. And being a Bengal fan, I'd be against it, but just an NFL fan in general, I think that'd be really a good idea. So the Baltimore Ravens, they picked 27th overall, and lots of people talk about Lamar Jackson needs a wide receiver. That's why he, doesn't have any passing yards, or that's why he's not good at throwing. That's not the reason at all. Something to keep in mind is the Ravens have not had a wide receiver get more than 800 yards since 2016. So even in the Joe Flacco, towards the end of his days, they're not really heavy receivers. In my opinion, if you're a receiver and you're going to Baltimore, your career is basically going to die. Because, just Baltimore receivers just aren't really good. But I love this pairing here with Kadarius Toney going to the Ravens. I think he would be very well in their offense, maybe end around some trick plays, what they do with Hollywood Brown. But I like that pick there a lot by the Ravens, and I think that'd be really, really smart. So 28 with the New Orleans Saints. Who are you taking for the Saints?
Zaven Collins, linebacker from Tulsa.
I think that's a pretty good pick there, and it's just kind of strange though, because not the pick, but it's just like I already mentioned with those linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Zaven Collins, I think I wouldn't be against this pick here, but compared to last year's draft, some of these linebackers, they wouldn't even. Micah Parsons, I don't think he'd be in the top 2 or 3. Corella wouldn't be in the top 5, and it's just really crazy, like how much of a year difference could make, especially like with the linebacker class and last year. Like some of these edge rushers this year, it's far better than last year's class. So 29th with the Green Bay Packers. I'm actually going to have them take. I know this may be a little bit of a reach, but I want to do it anyway. I have them taking wide receiver from Elijah Moore. He's one of the best route runners in the draft, and they just need some more receivers to pair with Devontae Adams. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think I'll give Aaron Rodgers another nice weapon. So pick 30 with the Buffalo Bills. Who do you have Buffalo taking there?
Jace Horn, cornerback from South Carolina.
That's probably the best pick of this draft. I completely forgot about him. It's crazy how far he's dropped. And, you look at needs. They recently, they've lost some corners at the corner. J.C. Horn is a phenomenal player. Some say we even consider him as the second best corner in the draft. And for him to fall to 30 to the Buffalo Bills, that's absolutely, I would say, one of the best case scenarios for the Buffalo Bills.
That's a steal right there.
100%. That's definitely the steal of this draft. And I know the Kansas City Chiefs, they recently signed Joe Tooney. They released some tackles, but I actually have them taking Elijah Vera Tucker here, the guard/tackle from USC. I would have them taking Wyatt Davis, but Elijah Vera Tucker can play guard and tackle. So, his versatility, he can play multiple positions. So, and that's another player who's actually feel quite a bit in here. So I want to have them take Elijah Vera Tucker from USC for the Kansas City Chiefs. And to finish it off, the Super Bowl champs, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Who are you having the Buccaneers select?
Gregory Rousseau, edge from Miami.
That's a really, really nice pick. And, talking about.
I don't know what the future holds for Ndamukong Suh. So,
I mean, that's a phenomenal pick. You talked about J.C. Horn and Gregory Rousseau. You probably had the two best steals in the draft, and it's crazy. Rousseau 3 months ago was a top 10 pick. Now, I mean, he could potentially drop by the second round. Don't think he will, but it'll be really interesting. That was a nice pick there, by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like him, Jalen Phillips, any of those edge rushers. But Gregory Rousseau, to me, that's a outstanding pick. Especially, you don't know the future of those defensive linemen in Tampa Bay.
mm-hmm.
So, kind of recap here. Trevor Lawrence, Penei Sewell, Jamar Chase, Caleb Farley, Kyle Pitts, Jalen Waddle, Zac Wilson, Justin Fields, Surtain to the Broncos, 0 Star to the Cowboys, Devontae Smith to the Giants, Trey Lance to the 49ers, Rashawn Slater to the Chargers, Kwity Paye to the Vikings, Micah Parsons to the Patriots, Travis Etienne with the Cardinals. I think that's a dark horse pick, but I would really, really like that there. Bateman to the Raiders, Nick Bolton to the Dolphins, Jeremiah Kwasu-Koroa, the linebacker from Notre Dame to the Washington football team, Matt Jones to the Bears, Terrence Marshall to the Colts, Azeez Ojulari to the Tennessee Titans, Najee Harris to the Jets, Barmore to the Steelers, Trevon Moehrig to the Jaguars, Rondell Moore, the wide receiver from Purdue, to the Cleveland Browns, Kadarius Toney to the Baltimore Ravens, David Collins to the Saints, Elijah Moore to the Packers, J.C. Horn to the Bills. That is 100% the best pick in this draft. Elijah Vera Tucker, the Chiefs there. And the last pick is Gregory Rousseau, the edge rusher, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. All those last 3 picks there, I would say, are probably the three best steals to the draft, because some of those players may not be there, maybe shouldn't be there, and those are all a team needs for those teams there. So we did a round 1 draft from ProFootballFocus.com. So Sean, can you tell some of the listeners where they can follow you on social media?
So you guys can follow me on Instagram at the Champ Podcast, Twitter at the Champ Pod, Facebook at the Champ Podcast, and TikTok at the Champ Podcast.
Make sure to go follow Sean's social media. I will put the links in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching this. If you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, I would really, really appreciate it. And I will see you next time on the Sports 2 Hunt Show.